The reason that t-shirt quilts can be so challenging is because of the stretch in the knit. And so when you're sewing and you have this knit cotton and you're sewing 2 layers together, if you don't use the right foot, then they will move at different speeds. They'll gap. You'll end up with like bunches, uneven fabric, and it won't lay flat and pretty like we like our quilts to do. And so lots of people do not like t-shirt quilts, making them for that reason. If you use a walking foot, then the t-shirt doesn't stretch as much. So when I am making t-shirt quilts, I use this Pellon style. It's SF101 iron-on cotton interfacing as the backing. It's cotton. It's kind of rough on one side and soft on the other. It's fusible, machine safe, iron-on. It does require a damp cloth to iron it on the fabric so that it sticks. You really can use whatever interfacing you like. There are lots of recommendations online about what to use, what not to use. I like this because it's fairly lightweight and flexible. What I was using before was a little bit stiff and it was heavy. There are some people who believe you don't need interfacing at all. They don't use it. They think it takes away from the softness of the t-shirts. And so the first thing I do generally is I cut pieces of Pellon, roughly the size I think I'm gonna need. I cut them 14 to 15 inches wide. And I'll explain as I go. So when I iron them on the t-shirt, I want to make sure that when I iron them on, when the t-shirt lays, that I have enough coverage so that when I cut it, it's covered with a little bit of overlap, because it just works out better that way. I do waste a little bit of the Pellon. However, I make bags and other products, leftover scraps of fabric for the borders, and so when it's all said and done, the amount of scrap that I have left over is very minimal. I just have done it enough times and know how to cut, and I'm aware of it, so I pay attention so that I don't waste too much. No block generally is wider than 15 inches. So I generally cut a 15 inch. Let's see, this right here is 15, the widest part is 12. And so if I cut 14 to 15 inches of Pellon and put it on the back, I'm good. And so that's what I do. I cut at least 30 strips. Usually sometimes I'll cut the whole bulk because I know I'll use it in 15-inch pieces this in width, and I keep the length just as it is because, again, I know even if I cut a block off the bottom that I'm going to use that later for something else. I am not being exact. This is all about efficiency. This is batch cutting. I know I'm going to use all these because I have like 3 t-shirt quilts coming up. Now the bolts, full price, are $60, and it takes about a bolt, not quite a full one, to do a quilt. I never pay full price. They go on sale. I use coupons. Like I said, I use it so much that I have to watch. So that is an added expense, when you're wanting to sell t-shirt quilts, when you're producing them to sell. Some people say, why add that cost? Well, I want to provide a good product, and when I add this to the back of my quilts, I like the way it works, so that's why I use it. I'll put the damp towel on and iron over it, which is what the instructions tell you to do. You can see this, I don't know if you can see the steam, but there's steam coming up. And that helps the glue adhere to the shirt. Sometimes I will take my spray bottle and just spray the water directly on. Again, I've never had any issues with it. I don't know why I'm not supposed to do it like that. But also, I can just wet my cloth too if I need to. Anyway, so I give that a good press, make sure that it's stuck where it needs to stick. So the other thing is you will hear that you are pressing, you're not ironing. You're not supposed to move and wiggle the iron too much. And so that is something that I have recently been trying to monitor myself and make sure that I'm not doing it, that I am pressing the iron and letting it stay where it's supposed to stay and not wiggling it too much. The t-shirt is much stiffer. It means that you have here where you can kind of stretch it, and then here where it's just not nearly as it doesn't move as easily and wiggle as easily. So I have the shirt, I have the backing on, so you can see it covers a lot more than the logo. And so let's say I want to cut the logo here, then I have all of this extra to do stuff with. Or if I want to cut it really big, I can do that. So anyway, so that's one shirt down. The thing about this is these are buttons, so I need to be super careful. I don't know how I'm going to quilt this yet, but this is super cute, but it's pretty thick and there are buttons on it, so I'll need to be careful when I quilt it that the needle does not hit the buttons, because that could break a needle, damage the machine, all kind of stuff could happen. We don't want that. Taken me about 20 minutes to do like 4 or 5 shirts, so it's pretty time consuming to get all these done. This way I do it while I watch TV and listen to music, podcasts, things like that, but I do have a heat press, like a clamshell, do it all at once, like really big thing. The problem with that is that it's big and I don't keep it out all the time, so sometimes it's just a pain to get it out, plug it in, heat it up, use it, wait for it to cool down, put it away. Like, I just don't like using it. If I had a shop, a studio where I could keep it out all the time, I would absolutely be just like pressing it and being done with it. But until then, I will continue to do it the old-fashioned way.